Brianna, and I just recently accepted my first role as a software developer post-college, and I'm really excited, and I actually just wanted to document my journey all the way from the beginning until who knows where this will take me, but I'm just really excited. One thing that I like to do, obviously, is watch videos on YouTube of people who are software engineers or work in the technology industry, because it's really inspiring. And one thing that I sort of noticed is that nobody has the exact same journey, obviously, but I didn't find too many people with a similar journey to me, and that would be not getting a job even though you have a bachelor's and you have a little bit of experience until 3 years after you've graduated from college, because it's nearing 3 years since I've graduated. And I just really wanted to create this channel and hopefully make videos of things that I like and things that people like me like, but mainly because I want to encourage people and connect with people who are on similar journeys that I am, to let them know that they're not alone, because for a while I was thinking that I was alone, because that's what it feels like sometimes. You just feel like you're the only person on earth that this is happening to, but you're not. And I just want to be there to connect with anybody who is going through the same thing or similar troubles or is having trouble getting a job, and just be there to provide like a ray of sunshine for a few minutes of your day. So I basically want to use this video to welcome you to my channel, welcome you to my journey, and give you a little bit of background about myself so you can get to know me, we can get to know each other, it'll be fun. So again, my name is Brianna, Bree for short. I'm 22 and I live in Tampa, Florida with my husband. So I graduated with my bachelor's degree in November of 2015, and last week in August of 2018, I just got my first job as a software developer. So it all basically began a long time ago, about 20 years ago. I used to love like the kids' computer games, like the Jump Starts, the Reader Rabbits, the Math Blasters, everything like that. Like I used to love those games. Like even now, when I go back to my parents' house, which is where like a lot of my stuff is, if I can find the disc and I have like 20 minutes, why not play it? I am highly aware that I am not in pre-K anymore, but there's just something nostalgic about playing those games, because they were just like such fun times for me. So it's just fun to play them still. I don't care. I will play Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego forever. It's just great. And I had this little laptop. It was like a little Fisher-Price laptop that I used to love, and it used to make me feel like I was working like with my parents when they were like working on the computer or using the computer, even though I knew it was different, but it was mine, so it didn't matter. And my dad was really good at computer hardware, so like taking computers apart, adding pieces, doing whatever he used to do. He used to fix computers for people all the time, and I used to just like sit on his lap and watch, because it was so mesmerizing to me, because I loved puzzles, and it was like a different kind of puzzle, like a special puzzle. So that's basically like where I began, like as a little kid. I know a lot of people use computers in elementary school, but for my first elementary school, we definitely didn't really use computers at all. I can remember using a computer one time, and I think it was like Microsoft Word and that bouncing paperclip. I don't remember anything else. And then my second one, I don't think we really used them either. But once I got to middle school, we used computers like a little bit more because of papers and whatever. We weren't doing anything fun, but that's when MySpace and like Facebook became big. So I was using, just like everybody else I assume, using HTML to edit and create my own MySpace templates, and I actually used to go to the library to rent books so that I could figure out like the HTML elements and figure out what kind of cool stuff I could do to my profile. And I used to edit my friends' profiles, which it was a lot of fun. But computer games continuing through my childhood, I really loved The Sims 2. I personally think that The Sims 2 is probably the second best one that we have now. I used to try my hand at modding the game, using pose boxes, or I don't know, I just used to do a lot of funky things. Creating new careers, that one really wasn't programming, that was just like adding things. But yeah, I used to love doing that. I used to get on Mod The Sims and obviously like download stuff for my game, but I used to see how people were creating their scripts and elements that they were adding to the game so that I could try to mimic it. I never created anything good enough to go on Mod The Sims, but it was just fun to work with it. Then once I got to high school is when I took my first Java class in the 10th grade, and it was computer science, and I was like, I don't want to do this, because my parents were really encouraging me to do it. And once I did it, like literally on the first day, I was like, oh my goodness, this is amazing, because learning Java and computer concepts taught me to think in a way that I had never been challenged to think before. So really like looking at the logic of how things are created and how things are run. One thing I used to do, and I understand that this is weird, but it's okay. Once I learned like the foundations of Java, I used to look at different everyday things and go, I wonder if this is like an if then. So like when you're getting gas, take the gas pump off, like if the gas pump is not in the structure itself, then you can pump gas, else don't pump gas. I walked around thinking about stuff like that for a really long time, and then I learned more advanced functions in Java, so that's what I've been using most. But yeah, so that was really fun, and I just really loved understanding how computers worked and the software that you know, that we use to use our computers. Another thing is, it was a way for me to be creative in my own light. I have a lot of friends who can draw and paint and do so many great things, and I can't. So programming is my way of doing that without having to use a canvas or draw things or use calligraphy and write things very beautifully, because I can't do those things. So this allows me to express myself and yeah, and be myself in that way. So that was also really great. Once I got to the 11th grade is when I took AP Computer Science, and it was harder, significantly harder, but I really enjoyed it because it required me again to think more deeply about things than I ever had to before. So even now, sometimes I just sit and think about things, which sounds vague, but like anything. Just how things work, why they work the way that they do, what if they worked a different way. That's when I became a thinker, if you will, that year. That year is also when I applied to an early enrollment program, which was at the school that I eventually went to. So the college that I went there when I was 16, before I had graduated from high school, which is pretty common now. It wasn't common at all when I did it 6 years ago. I think, yeah, 6 years ago, in 2012. A lot of my classmates were like, what? Why do you want to do that? Because it was going to be our senior year, we were all going to be together, but I wanted to do something a little bit different because I've always been just a little bit different, so that's what I did. And I think this is where a good portion of the reason that it's taken me so long to find my career has stemmed from. So the reason that I went to the school that I did is because I got accepted into their early enrollment program. I know it's not like the best reason, but I also did really like the school. I really liked where it was. I liked the curriculum at the time, because they told me, and I know you're supposed to do your own research, and I did to my extent to like what I could do. They told me that their technology was like cutting edge and the curriculum was great and you're going to learn everything that you need and internships, blah, 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 blah. To a 16-year-old, I was like, yeah, I get to be on my own. I wasn't so much thinking ahead, like 3 or 4 years, is this going to help me get where I want to be? So yeah, that was a little bit interesting. And every computer science program, software engineering program, whatever, is different. So my bachelor's in software engineering is going to be different than somebody else's bachelor's in software engineering or computer science from a different school, because every school teaches you different things and feels like you should learn different things. So my expectation for college was that I would go to college, be independent, make friends, get good grades, have a little bit of fun, but learn a lot of things, network with a lot of people, create a portfolio that is going to make me stand out from other people at the end of school who are going to be looking for jobs. And a lot of those things did happen. I did have fun. I did make some very great friends. I did do some networking, but what I started to learn as I progressed through the program was that a lot of the courses I was taking were great, but there were a lot of things missing. So if you look at a job description for, let's say, a full stack developer in Java, a lot of times you need like Java, of course, but there's also a large list of technologies that you'll need to support Java, like your web technologies, your database technologies, things like that. In my program, I learned Java, C++, C, database concepts, data structures, courses like that. I also learned some project management. We did not have any classes to teach you how to put all of the things that you've learned together to make one application from beginning to finish. So a lot of the stuff that I was doing in class was just like console work or maybe some GUI, but nothing that was like big and great. Another thing that I picked up when I was in college was some web development because I thought it was a lot of fun. And for me, because everybody's different, for me, compared to Java, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript were easier. But yeah, so that's something that I picked up and I like to do, so I did that on the side. Then I was a student assistant, which is where I got most of my work experience in college. I actually worked in the technology department on the server and group-wise technologies team. I did that for 2 years. But being there over the summer, because I spent 2 summers there because I could just work through the summer, they also paid for me to take some classes. So I took classes over the summer and I had credits that were coming in when I got to school initially. So I finished my 4-year degree in about 2.5 years. So by the end, I was like, okay, great. I've done all this stuff and I've been a student assistant. I have work experience. I'm ready to get a job. And then I go to look at job applications and work with my career services department, and I'm like, I am not ready to get a job because I have no clue what the heck some of this stuff is on the applications or on the job descriptions. And so I tried my hand at taking a look at what some of it was. A lot of it was just like technologies that I had never used before and had not been exposed to. But yeah, that didn't go too well. It's sort of hard to just get a job if you only know Java and HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Yeah. So, again, I worked with my career services department to see what I would need to do on my own, and work with some of my professors to see what they suggested, and the feedback that I got from them was, oh, we should change the curriculum a little bit. Well, yes, that might be a little bit helpful. So after I graduated, my now husband and I moved to Florida, and I continued my job search here. At the time, Tampa was up and coming in terms of technology, and we wanted to move to Florida, mainly because the cost of living was way cheaper than what we experienced up in New England. So we did that, and I realized that based on what I had, and even with some of the things that I had in my portfolio, it was going to be really hard for me to get a job. So that's when I started looking at what I needed to know and started using outlets to basically like teach myself. Like through books, through videos on YouTube, through like other different websites to give me skills here and there, and I started to create things. But obviously I knew that that was going to take a good amount of time for me to be comfortable and learn the concepts and pick them up enough to apply for jobs. So I got a job as a client support specialist at a company here in Tampa, and I did continue to learn, but I will admit that I got a little bit complacent. And I got complacent because I was making more money than I had been. I was planning a wedding, so my learning had slacked off a little bit because I had things that I was trying to worry about, getting my wedding planned and everything like that. And I was just happy where I was. And I was happy where I was because I felt like I had finally gotten somewhere. Now, is it where I wanted to be? No. But after so much rejection and being told that I was going to have to do so much work, it just felt nice to take a deep breath. And I did take a deep breath, and I ended up being with that company for about 2.5 years. After our wedding is when I sort of felt, okay, now you've gotten complacent and you need to get out of it. And a lot of that feeling came from me working at a software company and not being a software engineer. So that was great. And I mean great actually because it helped me, it helped to push me to a place where I was uncomfortable. Because when you're comfortable, you're not going to jump to do things that put you in a place for better things. So long story short, that company went through a lot of changes, and their values no longer aligned with my values. And I'll just put it that way. There was nobody there who, I wasn't fired, I didn't agree with where the company was going, and I felt like it was time for me to separate. And there's some really great people who are still there, and I still have a very close friend who still works there. But I think it was just time for myself to separate. So through all that time, I put my hand back in, knowing what I know now, which was way more than I did when I first graduated from college. And I was like, okay, let's try again. And I started applying, and I was getting some nibbles, if you will, like some bites on my resume. And from applying to jobs, and then there was some that I wasn't, but I knew that I couldn't be like out of work for a while, so I again got a job, and I worked with that for a little bit. Earlier this year was just like a really bad, tough year for me and my family, so I wanted to know what was going to make me happy internally, and that was going to be getting my foot into software or the job of my dreams, or something that's a step towards it. And that's where I basically spent all summer applying, creating a really great portfolio, doing anything that I could to get like a little bit of experience or learn more, anything like that. And I'm happy to say that it's paid off at least a little bit, because again, I just recently accepted my first role as a software engineer, and I'm really excited about it, and I want to take you guys through the journey. For me, it was 3 years. For you, maybe it's not 3 years, maybe it's just hard right now, but sometimes things don't come when we want them to, but they'll always come on time. And I think that for me and my husband, now is the time. So I look forward to creating videos about my experience with the company that I'm going to be working for, and things that I'm going to be learning. If there's anything that you guys specifically would like to see, then please leave a comment and let me know. If you're in the same situation as me, or you know somebody who is and you would like some encouragement, feel free to subscribe. This is always going to be a happy haven and a safe place and a no judgment zone, because we all started from somewhere, and everybody starts as a beginner, and there's always something to learn. So I hope that we can learn and grow together. So thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you guys soon in some more videos.